Welcome back to Blast the Process 4. I am Kick-Ass Pancakes here with d4gr0n. How's it going, man?
Going good. Going good. I just woke up.
Yeah, you're over there on the West Coast, yeah, so it's like, what, 6 a.m. out there? Jeez.
Yeah, 6:40.
But Chat and myself are about to watch the best Game Freak game ever made, correct? Pulseman?
That is correct.
Alright, so would you like me to count you down, or would you like to count down yourself?
Well, the start time is actually a bit different from normal. It's not a game start. It's when we actually gain control of Pulseman at the start of level 1. So, I guess I will, I guess I'll have the honor of doing the countdown myself then, in that case.
Alright, man. Alright, good luck on your runs, and, yeah, we'll do a small intermission between, and, yeah, good luck.
Okay, so with Pulseman, I'm gonna select stage 1 here, and I'm gonna start now. And it'll be when I gain control in this stage that we start the actual timer. Alright, so now. Okay, so Pulseman. So as you can already see, after some prolonged dashing, you enter an electrical state here, and you run even faster. But this electrical state actually has a different feature that comes with it. So you have this ability called the d4gr0n, and by unleashing it, you can actually get to higher ground with it, but only if you're in the electrical state. And you're going to see that again on this next screen here. You can also instantly get into the electrical state by doing a quick double tap dash right there. And that's the said d4gr0n ability. Now, this screen here is also going to show off the other feature of d4gr0n, and that's its prolonged use anytime you bounce off a wall. This is not the best way of being able to optimally get through a stage. You preferably want to be dashing in most cases. However, sometimes the level design just does not make dashing the entire length possible. So we kind of just have to balance things out a bit. I generally speaking, when we all pretty much start on this level, pretty much every single runner. That's because this is the only stage where you can establish the first frame of movement in. But it is important we choose the stage first anyway, because the next boss, or this boss coming up here, is actually arguably the hardest boss in the game, which sounds strange for a first boss, but at least the optimal strats, there's a lot that goes on here. So I'm actually going to be quiet here and focus a bit. Oh, called it out wrong. Beautiful. That was a really good fight. So you actually want to fight this boss up here, because when you have, like, no restriction up here, you can easily get optimal hits when he's at the top. He appears from the very top of the screen rather than the sides. It is also important that I jump, because if I don't jump at certain points when he comes from the side, he'll start breaking the platforms and causing a bunch of lag. It's really horrible. Like, really horrible. But that strategy was actually very recently implemented, and it led to the game having its record broken last night. So, that's good stuff. So, yeah, each and every stage carries a bonus stage. And at least the first 3 can be very quickly cleared, so we do that. Get our perfect bonus. Okay, and that was Stage Japan. Now, the next stage is Stage India, and it's not going to look like India at all, for the most part. At least not until a really awful screen comes about, which I'll make sure to warn you. Actually, I should have probably made this disclaimer at the very start of the run, but this game has some extremely uneasy effects at certain points in the run, so there is some... do be wary of that if you are weak to such effects. You know, epilepsy, stuff and whatnot. This screen here, actually, very interesting screen, but if you do latch onto these wire things here, in Voltecker state, you will actually blacken the screen entirely, and you don't want that to happen, because doing that screen blind is terrible. And it's... I don't think anyone has ever done it, so... Be cool to see it happen, but... Alright, so there's really, like, nothing much going on this screen. Try not to look too much at the background here. It's a little disorienting. Whoops. Okay. Not the cleanest stage. A couple tight jumps here. Gotta kind of soft jump those to get over them. Alright, this next screen, be careful with the eyes. This is a terrible screen. And it makes no sense at all. Like, this does not make sense. If this makes sense to you, I beg you, please explain it to me. You know, assuming you can actually handle this screen, because this is pretty rough. Okay, good. So, we're pretty much at the end of it now. And we're gonna be facing the boss as soon as we're done here. And there's a bit of a quick kill associated with this fight. So, again, I'm gonna be kind of quiet here. Hopefully I get it. Nope. I couldn't get my Voltecker in time. But, that's okay. We had enough damage output to quickly kill him on the second impasse there. It's a very tight quick kill. He's the other... Well, I mean, there's 3 particular boss fights that are big-time run killers, and that was the second one. But yeah, like, in order to actually do the optimal damage on that fight, like, you have to actually have your feet firmly planted on the ground so that your initial burst of damage from Voltecker, from that Voltecker charge, does, like, extra additional double damage. And you need to actually do, you know, you need to be able to do at least a couple hits with that whole ability. Otherwise, you cannot get the one cycle there. You can't actually kill that boss before he submerges into the ground. Okay. Well, I was not paying attention here. That's okay. So there was a much cooler quick kill there, and I was not paying attention, but it's a pretty cool looking quick kill where all I really have to do is jump behind him and utilize what we call the uncharged Voltecker state, which I guess I'll take this time now to explain, since there's not really much going on with this screen. Well, actually, there's going to be a lot going on this screen, but I guess with the uncharged Voltecker state, it's generally looked at as, at least in the onset, it looks like a pretty useless feature, but it actually does a lot of damage, and more importantly, it does a ton of iframes. Oh, by the way, yeah, ceilings are just a suggestion in this game. Don't worry, that does not constitute as a glitch. The developers actually do intend for you to be able to walk over top of the ceilings, and there's actually the next stage will show that off. But getting back to the uncharged Voltecker state, you do a lot of damage with it, and subsequently, you gain a lot of iframes for using it. So it will actually come in handy with a lot of boss fights. We've been dealing with some pretty rough boss fights up to this point, and why we don't actually utilize the uncharged Voltecker state on those boss fights is because, well, either they're immune to it, or your momentum is killed through the use of it, so it makes quick killing the boss harder, which was the case of the first boss. I totally flubbed that. I had a really, I had the perfect spot to get the perfect ricochet there, but then I canceled it too early. Yes, you can cancel at any point out of this whole ability, but you have to make sure that it's done at the right point. And that's the rest of the stage done. Alright, so since we didn't actually show off the ability on the first bout with this guy, there it is in full force. So, yeah, if that fight did not show off how broken the ability is, I don't think any other fight is going to. Alright, so last bonus stage here that we're going to actually complete. This is a pretty difficult one. A lot of people tend to struggle with this one. Whoops. Alright, 44 is fine. I had a bit of a mess up there. Or a bit of a hiccup, but it's all good. 44 is still perfectly acceptable. So now that we're done with the first 3 stages... Oh, that's another thing. All the first 3 stages are selectable. Like, you can select them in any order and do them in any order, but there's really no true advantage to selecting in a certain order. It's really just up to the player's comfort. And I tend to do the order I do because usually due to either the boss fights being more difficult in said order, like it was in the case of the first 3 levels, and in the case of the later levels, it's all about which levels are more technical. And this level is an extremely technical level. This screen especially is a very difficult screen. Oops. Okay, good. Voltecker couldn't come out in time, or the uncharged Voltecker couldn't come out in time. Alright, beautiful. That's a very tough screen that I just did there. Now, we do technically have some time to relax a little bit. Despite the importance of the routing in this particular screen, most of the screen is pretty scripted. As long as I land in the right spot and dash when I want to. Sometimes dashing is a bit hard in this game. Alright, good. That was an alright outcome. Okay, so this next Voltecker here on the next screen here is probably the most important on this stage. I gotta make sure I land it. If I do mess it up, I have to try again. Because the alternative is to run through the rest of it. That might have been too early. Okay, no, we're good. We are fine. So that will carry us all the way to here. And as you can see, you can't really dash while running on those gears. So you ideally want to carry Voltecker as far as you possibly can on that particular section. Okay, I was not expecting to miss that. There we go. Alright, so here's another pretty critical part here. It's a bit of a weird section here with those balls. It's a little tough to know which direction you'll actually go. And this is probably one of the screens that most people kind of are enticed not to do glitchless. Perfect shot right there, right into that tight section there. It's very important that I don't hit a corner, because when that happens, I will actually ricochet back, and you actually saw that in the screen previous to that one I was just on. And this screen's kind of straightforward. There's nothing really much going on here. I've tried to figure out ways to route this screen to be faster. I have not been able to figure out anything. And that's because this room is just plastered with spikes everywhere. Okay, I messed that up. Let me do this. Alright, that'll work. Alright, so important quick kill here. Okay, I'm gonna try this again. I didn't do the right move. That was a blunder. Let me try that again. See, that's how easy it's supposed to be. So, yeah, once again, another use of the uncharged Voltecker. Pretty much makes quick work of that fight. As you saw there where I died, he eventually will start doing a part of his pattern where he selects randomly between 4 different patterns. And you absolutely want to avoid that at all costs. Because depending on which one you get, you can lose. Well, I mean, already having him get to the point of choosing this patterns, he's invincible during that. So it's just overall really bad to have him choose it. You know, regardless of how much time you're gonna lose based on which pattern he chooses, it's just generally not a good idea to have him get that far in the pattern. Also, by the way, don't worry about these bonus stages. You can't really finish these bonus stages before time expires. At least these later ones. There is a chance you could, but you really have to finish by a certain time. Otherwise, you're just gonna start losing time over just simply waiting for the time to expire. So yeah, Alaska here, this stage can be pretty difficult. This screen is actually probably, at least in my opinion, one of the hardest screens to learn the speedrun for. Because, yeah, the climb has a couple of really tricky spots. But that was an alright climb. I land in like certain spots to get the ideal results. Alright, so here's another couple of pretty difficult Voltecker uses. You want to make sure... Okay, well I messed that up. I had to wait for that penguin. Yep. That was too late. Yeah, so that's another really, really tough Voltecker to get. Especially if you're trying to do it optimally like me. That's okay. And now we get to relax for a bit. So, I mean, I do say that Alaska's a tough stage. And that's because its tough screens are really difficult, but there is a bit of downtime to Alaska. And that's mostly this section, where it's mostly just a maze. And you have to try to navigate which is the correct direction to get out of there as fast as possible. And there is multiple branching paths, so knowing the correct direction to go is very, very important. Usually you'll be able to tell when your partner there says, "this way." Of course, she won't say that until after you hit the exit. Okay. I should learn that I'm gonna hit that wall every time. Alright, so back again. Back again with, well, actually, this is a section that doesn't really make much sense. So we're supposed to be in Alaska here. I don't know why we're suddenly in desert area here. I guess this is summertime now. So yeah, the penguins are back, and, yeah, they're bad news. So they're trying to track me down here, and, they cause a lot of lag. And ideally, we do not want to have a bunch of lag. Yeah, so you can see how much the game's struggling, just really struggling to keep up with all these penguins everywhere. I gotta kill that one. He was in a very terrible spot. But yeah, taking aside all the lag and the penguins and whatnot, it's not too bad of a screen. Alright, so this fight here, this is the other pretty costly fight to screw up. Oh, okay, so I messed up. I hit him too early and he landed. Alright, that's much better. So you actually have to clash with the Volteckers and then subsequently hit him while he's in hit stun. And when he lands on the ground, he's not vulnerable anymore. Okay, that was close. And every time you mess it up, it's probably at least a time loss of 4 seconds. So you really, really don't want to mess up any of your hits. Oh, and I probably should have warned you all about that. That's probably not going to be good on anyone's ears. I know that song was, like, really good and all. And that fight was difficult, but no excuses. I should have had that warning going there. Okay, so, yeah, another bonus stage where there's nothing really to do other than wait out the timer. So I'm going to take this time now to talk about the next stage. Okay, so Australia. Australia, good old Australia. So, most every past runner other than me chooses Australia first among the later selectable stages. And that's because the first two screens are considered the most brutal screens in the entire game. Too many people. Niglaria, Grimshins, pretty much anyone who's played the game casually. Many people hate this next upcoming stage. I've had a finer appreciation for it because, you know, I'm weird like that. But yeah, Australia has a lot of water. And as we've known, water gets rid of your Voltecker charged state. Which is really bad news. Like, really, really bad news in this case. I gotta make sure that I get my jumps correct here. And I gotta make sure I latch on to a certain spot here. Okay, perfect. So we did that first screen perfectly. If I do mess that screen up, I have to wait on a wave cycle. No two ways about it. There's too much danger associated with, okay. Let's focus here. This section here, okay, I'm really messing this one up. So yeah, this descent here This is probably considered the bane of most players. Or the bane for most players. As you can see, you do descent much faster if you jump and then start descending. But, of course, if you take any damage, you lose that fast descent. And if you land on any sort of solid ground, you have to reset up. So, unfortunately, I had a pretty messy section here. And I'm down 1 point of health, which is not good either. But that's okay. At least we got out of it. The good thing is, even if I do die, all that ends up happening is I start at the beginning of whatever screen I was on. So, at least I don't have to do that again. Unfortunately, now we're on this screen, which is mostly an auto-scroller, so nothing really too exciting here. Although if I do mess any part of this screen up, I am going to fall into a pit and die. That's, yeah, that's all that basically is going to be waiting for me if I mess up anywhere on this screen. Okay, good. Should be good to go from here. Okay, got my charge state, so now I can just dash my way to the end. So that's pretty much the other scary screen of this stage. And watch your eyes, people. This is a really terrible effect here. And the next screen is going to be just as bad, if not worse, than this. Thankfully, there's no more, like, super, big, like, major time save here. Or major time loss section here. Like, there's no pit that I have to worry about killing me anymore. Alright, so now this screen here, is mostly an auto-scroller, which is just because of the fact that I'm having to wait on this platform here. Okay, so I don't have charge state here. This can be a little scary. If I do miss the platform here, or if I... Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, I saved that pretty hard. Yeah, you do not want to miss any of this platform cycle. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting. And waiting a while for it to come back down. That's a huge time loss. Alright, so I got the perfect line right here. Got on this platform. You want to get over to that platform as soon as possible so this third one can spawn sooner. Alright, cool. And now for the other scary part of the screen. Okay, this is scary now. We're gonna have to grab that health right there as just as a backup. I'm not willing to take the chance. Alright, good. Got my dash status there. Come on. Sometimes dash does not work. It's okay. We're out of that stage. So yeah, it is a pretty intense and intimidating stage through and through. But we made it. Now, this fight, this is the most cruel fight of the entire game. So sometimes when I punch these torpedoes this guy's gonna throw out, sometimes it will not properly register a hit, and I can lose 5 seconds automatically for each time a torpedo does not properly register damage, which is these things that shoot out. So I saw the sub flash white there, so that's a good sign that the hit registered, but sometimes the torpedo will be misleading and not register the heads when it looks like it did hit the submarine there. But all the hits connected, so we did not lose some weird bit of damage there. Or we didn't lose any like actual time on that fight. So that's good. Alright, so one final bonus stage. This is the last bonus stage here. So I guess, what could I talk about at this point? Okay, so I mean, if you don't know what these little things are here, they're spark balls. You collect 10 of them, you gain a life. Pretty self-explanatory. And, I guess I could explain the story. Basically, the villain we've been fighting, he's actually Pulseman's father. There's a bit of an sort of inappropriate story to how Pulseman was actually created, but let's just say that Pulseman himself, he's sort of a hybrid. He's an artificial intelligence, and he's part human, so he's able to actually materialize in the real world. That's kind of Pulseman's entire creation and identity as a being, as a plane of existence in this world. So we're actually heading back to Japan here. This is the hideout of our main villain here, and I forget what his name is. I think it's Dr. Wakayama. Or Wakayama. He's going into this little arcade here, and the score is just a little bit skewed. Oh, yes, and the scream. I actually got the scream this time. So it's actually random how many times it takes for that scream to actually happen. Okay, good. I actually avoided that. I really do not want that voltage power up there. And that's because I really want to utilize the iframes in the uncharged Voltecker state. This screen here is where I really truly got to learn about the importance of the iframes granted to me with the uncharged Voltecker. And that is most particularly with the final section of this auto-scroller section here. There's like 4 parts to this auto-scroller. This is a long auto-scroller. Like, I think it takes at least about 5 minutes in total. We are mostly done with the first screen, though, but we're at the tough part here, so let me just be quiet here. Oh yeah, good, we're good. Yeah, so, as you can see there, you can only go through the top section there with the Voltecker. So, if you don't get an opportunity to do said Voltecker through that top part, you're gonna get smushed by the auto-scroller. There's just no way to escape it unless you get really lucky and actually squeeze through one of the that middle section there, which I have not been able to do up to this point. Like, I've ran this game enough to have the record, but I have still yet to manage to squeeze through that middle section. I have to get through that top section. If I don't, I just die. I just straight up die. So it's a really, really awful section. It's, in my opinion, like, it's the true bane of my casual experience, being, and that was the last section of that previous screen. I know for a lot of people it's that water descent, but for me it was that last section. So yeah, there's nothing really much going on here. You ideally want to make sure you're electrically charged here, because there's some jumps that I don't think you were meant to be able to do without it, so... But thankfully, I didn't die. Yeah, you die on any of these screens, you have to start from the beginning. It's pretty terrible. It's a huge time loss to die at any point in the auto-scroller. Another kind of thing with this game is sometimes your jumps do lose their momentum for some odd reason. Like, you can start running into a jump a little bit, and then all of a sudden you just jump straight up and then start inching forward, and it's really terrible when that happens. You're likely not going to make a very important jump like, say, this one here, if that happens. Which is why it's important to make sure you're charged for this section, too. Because you just never know when something like that's going to happen. And I wish there was more to talk about here, but there isn't. There really isn't. I am avoiding these 1-ups because I don't want the auto-scroller to stop itself, just so the game can tell me that I got a 1-up. So it's just a bit of frame saving there. Alright, so last section of the auto-scroller here. At the end of it's gonna be a boss. And, that boss actually can be killed in a single uncharged Voltecker state. And it's pretty funny when it happens. It does depend on your positioning. So you have to be really wedged into the boss's hitbox itself in order for it to be accomplished. The name of the game, though, with this entire section is just lag reduction. You'll notice I take my time with breaking some of those blocks. That's because, I mean, as we've already seen, this game can get a bit laggy at times. And if you break these things too quickly, it'll just start lagging the screen a bit more than it really needs to. Like, even just me moving while the particles were still breaking apart, that's still enough to actually cause the whole thing. Oh, by the way, the boss is coming up here. And there he goes. But yeah, breaking apart the blocks and then just doing anything can cause lag. So that was the name of the game with that screen. Now we're done with the auto-scroller. Now we're actually on to... We're back to actual platforming. Volteckers here are very important, as you would expect. But they're especially important here, and sometimes you can actually fall through some of these platforms, even though all you did was just land on a slanted piece of ground. And it's really terrible when it happens. Alright, so I'm actually going to take an intentional hit here. This is so I don't accidentally fall into that pit and die. Alright, good. So, need this voltage power here in order to carry myself all the way to the top. Okay, that water enemy is there. But thankfully, if you get far enough away from it, he'll stop chasing you at some point. Alright, so here's a pretty weird screen right here. Once these lines start to darken, your Volteckers actually become essentially blind because it darkens the entire screen. At least until they start lighting back up. As you can see there, you can't even see where I'm at. But I knew that that was the perfect line for my Voltecker charge there. And you can see they're lighting back up, so now I can actually see what I'm doing here. This is actually the last screen in the game, so it's just two more boss fights. Now I haven't really been talking much about the combat here, but here we're actually going to utilize an ability that we have had the entire time that's really, really good, but it doesn't do much damage, but it carries an insane amount of iframes with it, and that is this flip kick right here. I am not hitting these guys. Hello? Come on. Alright, there we go. Okay. That was close. If I died there, I would have had to do that entire... that entire fight all over again. So we have just one more fight, and it's a very short fight, and time ends on the final hit. It's also a very terrible epilepsy fight, so watch your eyes. So each of these hands only takes 3 hits. And that's time.
GG.
So, yeah. About, I guess like a 39:06 or something?
It's looking that way. I'm not sure when the time... it looks 39:05.
39:05. So, yeah, it's a good...
official time.
That was really good. Probably around the ballpark of like 58 seconds behind my current PB now in this game.
And this game is not easy.
No, it is not easy. Yeah, a lot of pretty tight quick kills, a lot of pretty lot of difficult movement, some difficult screens and whatnot, and sometimes some BS that can occur, which didn't occur this time, so thankfully you didn't get to see me be robbed of time in that manner. So it was really
Sega
just...
gods are cooperating.
Yeah, the Sega gods cooperated. And thankfully with my next upcoming run, I don't have to worry about the gods frowning upon me, because the next game coming up has no luck attached to it.
No praying at all.
No praying at all.
Alright, so we're going to take a quick intermission, let d4gr0n get the next game set up, give him a break, and we will be back. Enjoy the music.